Adebari for today. And I've got two special guests making their debut on today's episode. I've got Ifedayo Gwam, he's a Chelsea fan, and I've got Chamberlain Bauder. First of all, he's a sports broadcast professional and he's a Manchester United fan. Guys, welcome to the pod. Gwam, how you doing?
I'm feeling great. Feeling great. Thanks for having me on here. Can't wait to get talking about this. This is a player I
Great.
feel very strongly about because I feel like my takes have gone up and down over the years with regards to him, and so it'll be interesting because I really do want to see the person at hand at a better club as his next club. So I'm very
Mm.
excited to talk about it.
Cool. Don't let the cat out of the bag just yet. Chamberlain, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to talk Man U. I haven't done it in a long time. I've covered a whole lot of sports. I cover a lot of college soccer right now, so the game itself is very, very in my field at the moment. But when it comes to the Prem, I'm ready to get back in talking about it.
Lovely guys. I mean, so to everyone watching and listening, if you've got the feelers from the boys, you know that we're talking about Manchester United, and in particular, we're going to be speaking about a player. Today, our topic is basically going to be, assessing Marcus Rashford and talking about the most realistic options for him in terms of what is next for Marcus. Is it to remain at United? Is it to find a new club? What type of club? Is it to remain in England? Is it to go to Europe? Maybe Saudi? Just to try and see what's in there for him. And we'll speak about this in a particular format just to help our conversation, and obviously for our listeners to enjoy this as well. First of all, we will be speaking about his most realistic option. All right. So for Marcus, for someone who played 25 games in Premier League last season, 6 goals, just 4 assists, not really what you expect from someone who probably was spoken about in the caliber of world class players. Someone who has been pivotal for England in the past and electric for United in the past. But he had maybe not his best season. Let's just put it that way. But in your opinion, guys, what is the most realistic option for Marcus Rashford going forward? Guam?
Okay, well, we'll start where he obviously had the loan. Aston Villa is my top two selections for realistic options. So Aston Villa, he obviously had the loan. We got to see what he could do under a different kind of play style that wasn't requiring him to, think as much. So under the Emery style, he was more of your counter-attacking winger, take what the defense is giving you, have enough space to run at defenders and cause some damage when your team has the ball. I believe this is, where Rashford is at his best sometimes. And also, I feel it's an environment where there's going to be lower stakes and lower pressure, which is something I feel like he has been struggling with slightly. And now we're going to be at a club in Aston Villa, where the coach believes in him, the fans also believe in him, and he's given the opportunity to take the mantle and just be the star player. And I think that would be my top prediction for where he would go realistically. And then my number two for realistically, because they are looking for a left winger right now, is Napoli. Napoli had the star in Kivicha, and he left obviously, and they got a huge bag of cash. The next thing, what are they going to do with that money? We've been seeing different names being popped up, and I feel Rashford would be the ideal and realistic candidate for them because, number one, the Serie A is just a much slower league. So with someone like Rashford's physical talents, it wouldn't take much to look different amongst other left wingers in the Serie A, and also to improve Napoli's game on the counter, in possession, however which way you'd be thinking of it. And those are my two top choices. And if you compare the statistics of their wingers and the players they've had, Rashford is still an improvement. Rashford only scored 6 goals last season. And you think to yourself, like, is there a world in which Rashford can't get 10 goals in Serie A? That's my those are my two top options for the realistic option.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, so Guam basically said Villa and Napoli. Villa being the fact that Rashford had a decent loan spell with them. And then, with Napoli, considering the fact that there's a hole there, left to be filled up. But then, I mean, with Napoli, it seems like they're trying to do business with PSV for Noah Lang. I think they're more interested in a striker at the moment. There are talks about Darwin Nunez and maybe the Udinese striker as well. So Napoli seem to be very much in for a striker, and I think Marcos would be a great fit for Napoli, just like you said, because I mean he's versatile. He can play as a forward, he can play on the left. Scott McTominay is there, Romelu Lukaku is there, former teammates as well. So yeah, Napoli would be a good destination for him. So guys, once again for Guam, it's either Aston Villa or Napoli as the most realistic options for Marcus Rashford. Chamberlain?
Yeah. So first, let me preface my Manchester United fandom. It started when Marcus Rashford came on. Like that, I started watching Premier League soccer in 2016 and 2015, and then I get to get the start of this, and then I was also the biggest supporter of the idea of hiring Ten Hag when they did. Actually, I was a proponent of it for the year before they did, and then they did, and then I got clinically depressed because I realized that the ultimate Manchester United issue would have inevitably kick in of the fact that the Glazers don't want to spend money. I'm also a Buffalo Bills fan, so I fully get having owners that don't actually want to spend their money on the team. I'm actually dealing with it right now. Our local lacrosse team just got sold because they didn't want to have it as a tax write-off anymore. But so I think this whole thing starts with the sale. And we have to kind of go back to the sale a little bit with the way that, I mean, we would be talking about a completely different situation for this entire Manchester United team. And the realistic option for Rashford would be to be at United if Qatar owned the team. So I just personally feel the need to establish that that's my feelings on this situation. But with that said, Guam, I think, brings up a really great point. I don't feel like I have any specific teams for that realistic possibility. But to me, Italy stands out and screams as a chance for him to get his game back. And, I mean, he went through those couple of years where it was really he's on the wing because he's so fast, you can't put him in the center. And you've got all these target men at United that you want to run through the middle. And then it became, oh, well, he's so good at scoring the ball, he needs to be at the front of it so that he's right there to do it. And so I think it became one of those things where I think there was a bit of an identity crisis for him in a sense of what is your game, where do you play? And then it doesn't help when Manchester United has the fire going on around you. And I just think it's made for this really unfortunate situation for him. 2 years ago, we could have been saying he's going to go to the new camp and not even thinking about it. Right. And now we're I don't even know if he can play in Spain right now. And because, I mean, he obviously could, right? But there's only so many teams you would go to in Spain that you're actually going to go to, and they're probably not going to sign him right now. So, I mean, yeah, I think the Italy perspective sounds very intriguing to me, or Aston Villa just does make sense. I mean, it's just, but I don't want to take that easy answer. But I think Italy or France going to a different league is what I see as the most realistic for him, leaving the Prem.
All right, then. So for Chamberlain, the most realistic option for Marcos is basically to leave England. And when you think about it, it might just be a good idea because, Marcos faces a lot of criticism from English fans worldwide. So it's not even just about Manchester United fans. And maybe he just needs a fresh, brand new start and something just different for him. In January, there were links to AC Milan, there were links to Barcelona. None of those materialized. Now we're in the summer, and these clubs are going for different types of forwards again. And for me, I think the most realistic option for Marcos, definitely for me, I think if there is a situation whereby Rafa Leao leaves AC Milan, I think Marcus should go to AC Milan. I think he would have the license to be able to, drift to the left, move into the middle, and he would be the main man because obviously Rafael wouldn't be there anymore. But I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. It doesn't seem like Rafa might be leaving anytime soon. But hey, it's football. Transfer window is open. Anything can happen. Yeah. So to the next category now, the most fun option for Marcus. The most fun option. Guam, straight to you.
Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting because I had a bunch thought up. And I'm going to start with my number one. I have three, so I'm going to start with my number one. My number one fun option is Liverpool. Well, I know. It sounds crazy. But let me get into it. Think of the Liverpool team you just watched last season. Luis Diaz, for all he's great, his intensity, his dribbling, he just doesn't have the ball striking that Rashford does. Put Rashford in Luis Diaz's positions, and you can see an incredible uptick in you can see an incredible uptick in his numbers. I strongly believe Rashford is an environment player. And in the right environment, he looks amazing. He looks pretty great. So you put him in a team that doesn't necessarily need him to get going all the time and just allows him to play his role. And I feel like you're getting the best version of him at that point. And Luis Diaz scores 13 goals in the league last season. Probably scored about 11 the season before. And you're looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, like, Rashford could put up these numbers and still pull out way more special moments. And Liverpool is a team that I believe needs someone like Rashford on the left, because in very tight games, as we've seen with PSG, ball striking matters. Ball striking matters a lot. Being able to pull out a crazy finish at any point in a tight game is a major skill. And for that reason, I feel Liverpool would be a really good option for him. And they are already set up to feed someone like him the ball. As we see with Salah, Salah's already pretty dominant on one end of the pitch. So the tilt is already very far right. And then that leaves so much room for someone like Marcus Rashford. And I think like that's a killer scenario. But my next fun option is Barcelona, of course. We really, really want to see him play there because of the combination of players he'd be playing with. We're talking Lamine, Rafinha, Lewandowski, Pedri, Gavi, all together. I think in a league like La Liga, where we see there's so much space in behind, even though, of course, that may not be truly accurate, based on games, you see that there are more opportunities on the counter than other leagues. And I strongly feel like in the attack that Hansi Flick has created, he has the opportunity to explode. If I'm being honest with myself, he could have a 25 to 35 goal season in a Hansi Flick attack. And I think the coordination and the prioritization of attack also helps Rashford's mental state, because he doesn't have to think of two things at once, whether trying to get back or trying to stay forward all the time. He knows that the philosophy is to stay on the front foot. And this would also help his movement, his in-game participation, if I may say. And I think it's very, very important that he finds a club that allows him to focus on one thing. And that's my next fun option. And I think like the La Liga defense is also not as strong as other leagues, which would give him more easy goals, more easy penalties to score, things like that. And then my final fun option is Arsenal. So, you know, this is just based on comparison and style. Of course, I think Arteta is a bit of a control freak, so Rashford may not be his first option. But I think if Arteta could let go of some things and, you know, just allow the game to flow, Rashford is an interesting choice. Martinelli is great, does the hard yards, gets back on defense, scores. But I think, again, the difference between Rashford and Martinelli is the ball striking. Martinelli is known to scuff the ball, miss easy chances. And this is just something that in the kind of positions Rashford or Martinelli gets in, putting Rashford in those positions, as we've seen in Man U and other clubs he's been at, like Aston Villa, he's also pretty assured in front of the post. Pretty assured, pretty good with the side foot finish, can hit the knuckleball, very comfortable in finishing situations. And I think also has a bit of magic to create things for an Arsenal team that in a lot of matches you're seeing they just don't have that magic. If Saka doesn't pull it out, who's going to do it? They're missing another mercurial winger on that side to bounce it out. And I think like that would be a very, very fun situation because, again, Rashford would be stepping into serious structure where they know how they want him to play and they don't deviate from that, which helps him to, well, what's the word? Be in the game better. Just understand where things are going. And I think those are my choices. There's also the problem with the rotation. He would be rotated a lot in Arsenal because, you know, Arteta loves to play Trossard, likes to switch up the wingers. I also think that could also help him too. If he could also just temper his ego and realize that he could be better served from rotating with someone else. But those are my options.
Absolutely brilliant, Gwam. Honestly, those are really fun options. Those are really fun options. Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal. Honestly, I love the fact that you started with Liverpool. I think you caught all of us unaware with that option. But I do understand you. Marcus Rashford at Liverpool would be absolutely electric. He would be electric because of the style of play. I think it suits him perfectly. And he will make that Liverpool team more dangerous. And I think people would fear Liverpool even more. Barcelona as well, I think he would be great because, you know, the link-up play with the likes of Yamal, Rafinha would make a lot of sense. But for some reason, the same way you have reservations about Rashford possibly working with Arteta, I think Rashford might have issues working with Hansi Flick as well. Hansi Flick might be, I mean, a lot of players would tell you two things about him. Hansi Flick is a great father figure, a great friend to have, but you don't want to be on his bad side. And he would easily just alienate you from the team. So, yeah, techie options there, but definitely for me, lovely option from Guam. Chamberlain?
All right. So first, Guam. I 100% agree with you on Liverpool. I'm not kidding. So I was going to say it before because my whole thing is, and I'll kind of get into it a little bit more in a second, but I think Rashford would thrive with that kind of false nine and the wingers really being the lead forwards in the line. I just think that is the perfect formation for him. I'll talk about it a little bit more in a second. But first, the other team that I think would be the fun option, go to Turkey, play with Jose. Go to Fenerbahce. Get pumped up with Mourinho. Who would not laugh at the very least at watching him scream at Marcus Rashford from the sidelines again? Am I right? Come on. It would be
it just feels so wrong. It just feels like I'd be watching the end.
It would be sickening to send Rashford to Turkey, but you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? No, but so yes, we got the back. But so my thing also, put my coach hat on and my tactician hat on real quick. I am a really big proponent of a 5-back with a top three that's set up as a false nine, where your wingers at the top are technically forwards, technically strikers, and your wing backs are almost like midfielders, in this kind of shell formation, so that you have like a cam or a center forward, and you have like your Rashford and your Salah operating above them. And I think that the thing I was talking about earlier, where that identity crisis comes in for Rashford, goes away in a position like that, because now he's being asked to do the best parts of everything that he did at striker and the best parts of what he did at winger. He can still stretch the field horizontally. He can still stretch it vertically because he's the top of the line. I think that if he can get into a false nine system specifically first, and then more specifically, just a system with another equally speed dynamic playmaker next to him and a cam, which, you'd think he could have had somewhere in Manchester United if anybody had actually figured out how to put the right dang formation on the field, but instead they wanted to keep trying to shove random fullbacks out there. But yeah, I think that he would be, if he's a left forward on whatever team it is in a false nine, he can be the Marcus Rashford of old. He'll be my favorite line whenever I think of Marcus Rashford. He's not just a flash in the pan, he's a crash in the box. If you remember the OG FIFA broadcast line, that's how he gets back to being a crash in the box. Is I think he needs to meld the two positions that he's been playing for the last 4 years.
Yeah, solid Chamberlain. I think it's just all about the right coach, the right environment for Marcus right now. I do think that the next move for Marcus, look, it needs to be important to his career. Like, he needs to think about it properly, because it could make or mar his career. Like, I think currently Rashi should be 26 if I'm not mistaken, or he's 27. He's 27. He's going to be turning 28 on the 31st of October. So he should be in his prime, playing his best football. But it will be fun. It will be fun. I mean, guys, the options are honestly fun. Fenerbahce with Jose, bro. That would be amazing. That's a truly, truly fun option. Honestly, guys, I love these options. They are truly fun options, and they'll most likely not happen. That's the best part about the fun option. But you never know. Never say never in football, right? So moving over.
Let me throw this question back to Chamberlain though. You say the best is a 5-back, right? A 5-back for that's your favorite position. And coincidentally,
it's a 5-back.
Yeah. Coincidentally, the manager at United is playing the same thing and putting players in similar positions as you'd want Rashford to be in. So what reason do you think Rashford isn't being utilized by the current manager?
I think Amorim is in a power struggle to actually control the team, and the easiest way to control it is by taking the biggest face out of the lineup. Other than Bruno, who else has a bigger name in Manchester than Marcus Rashford, other than maybe Bruno Fernandes at this point, that's on the team right now? Like, you can just boom. Nope, these are my forwards. They're all under 25. They all do exactly what I tell them to. I'm not catering my game to them. They're catering their game to me as their coach. Whereas, given Marcus Rashford fits to what the idea is, but it doesn't look like he's fitting to Amorim. It looks like Amorim's fitting to him. And if you really want to establish your culture, that's not the way to go. Unfortunately, though, we live in a world where egos have to clash. And the other thing, too, all it takes is, like, I'm not sitting here saying Amorim should be fired in one season, but I was also, the type of person that was like, we probably did everything wrong for the 2 years before hiring Ten Hag, and the timeline for Ole being fired and everything with that whole process was just so disgusting, honestly, is the easiest way to put it, that now it's just like every Manchester United fan is just so quick to be like, nah, just get him out of here. Just get him out. It's not Alex. Bye. Salud. I mean, like, and I get it, but it's hard. It's really annoying. It makes me feel like a Cowboys fan sometimes, and I absolutely hate it.
That's crazy. That is crazy. But another thing, right? You mentioned that Rashford has been kind of, in a sense, I'm paraphrasing here, but kind of mismanaged by United from the start when you start watching and the progression, right?
Oh yeah.
The manager that coincides in 16-17 is Jose Mourinho,
Yeah, it
who,
is.
who, who is known, who people believe rather was the one who mismanaged him and didn't allow him to get one position right, whether striker, whether left winger.
Yep.
You know, he had his reservations with him at both positions. So why is that the choice? Why is that your wild card option?
Dude, what Jose?
Yeah.
just because I until like 6 months ago, I used to still have the Europa League final poster up on my wall. No, honestly, it's also the fact of like, you know, obviously I was just going on about how you need to like let Rashford play his game, but Jose gives you this like structure that he's been around before, right? And this like a similar tactical language. He understands the system that's going to be in place. So like in that sense, I just wanted it for the familiarity sense to go back to something. Because it's not like he's going back to Manchester United, because it's not the same type of thing, even if he did go back. But yeah, it's that would be my reason. But no, I 100% agree with you. Like mismanaged is exactly what it feels like. It's always been like, and then once COVID hit, it just became I'm coming in. This guy's the fastest player on the team. He's our leading goal scorer. Where can I use him best? Because at that point, he was the best player on the team. But if you were to put him on Liverpool, he would have been in 2020. He would have been not even on the field potentially. Like, actually, probably not even potentially. He wouldn't be on the field. So it's like he's your best player at United on offense to put the ball in the back of the net.
True.
And yet he wouldn't start on maybe half the teams in the Prem at that time. So you manipulate him to your game, and then all of a sudden he's just like, who am I? Where's my identity? What am I supposed to do? How do I create my own goals? Where does this come from? Yeah. Although, let's be honest, though, under the counterattack system from Ten Hag, he was an absolute merchant.
Quite literally.
He was a merchant, and it was so fun to watch. Like that, dude, counterattacking Alex Fergie football is what I love to see from United, and he was the pinnacle of that for them under Ten Hag. I mean, it was so fun to watch him stretch them vertically.
Yeah. I mean, guys, I think at the end of the day, for someone who's turning 28 this year, I think Marcus needs to reflect and think, what is my best position? I personally don't think Jose mismanaged him. I think, the thing with Jose was that, Marcus came through the academy as a striker. He made his debut as a striker. However, a contemporary striker does not roam around, but Marcus loves to roam. And Marcus can't be allowed to roam because he's got the pace, he's got the trickery. It's very hard to stop him. But then on the flip side, Marcus doesn't really want to do the hard work of tracking back to defend. He doesn't really want to do the hard work of maybe inverting, swapping wings and whatnot. Marcus just wants to do what Marcus wants to do. And really, it doesn't work like that in football, irrespective of who you are and how big you are. I remember Barcelona when Luis Enrique took over. I don't know how Luis Enrique did it, but he made Lionel Messi play as a right winger. Prior to Luis Enrique, Messi was played as a false nine because Pep played him in that position. Tito came in, played him in that position. Tata Martino came in, played him in that position. But obviously, Luis Enrique knew his own philosophy. He knows the way he wants to play football, and he made Messi play right wing for 3 seasons. And honestly, that was the best of MSN. It was absolutely brilliant for everyone watching football. So for me, I think Marcus needs to do a bit of sober reflection and say to himself, look, okay, I've played multiple positions. Everyone's complaining, whatnot. I need to pick one position and be absolutely good at it. Marcus is one player who I honestly thought sometime in the future we should be having Ballon d'Or conversations, but we can't have that now because he's highly inconsistent. So Marcus, bro, if you're watching this, bro, we love you, and look, we just want you to get it right, man. All right, then moving on to the third aspect of this conversation. We've spoken about our most realistic options for Marcus. We've spoken about the most fun options. Now it's the wild card, the one where no one expects. All right, Gwam, over to you.
Ooh. Okay. This is going to be a hot. This is going to be a hot take. It's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I have a hidden love for the player, but I would like him to come to my Chelsea. I think as a wild card, that is the most interesting one I can give you that I've pondered on and I've thought of, because Chelsea keep trying with these young wingers. Like if you're reading right now, we've signed Bino Gittins, or we've agreed the fee, and I just keep looking to myself like, yeah, this is all cool and all, but we need some predictable numbers. We need some predictable style and predictable play, in the sense that we should know everything about what the player can give us. Right? These newer players that we're getting, like Bino Gittins, Esteval, stuff like that. Esteval looks great. He looks amazing. But there's just too many unknown entities. We don't know. Will he translate physically? Will he be able to keep with the pace of the league? So many questions that I wouldn't have with Rashford, right? I would know what I'm expecting from him, and I know what I'm getting. And it's now on my coach to make sure he's placing it in the best way to be successful. That is my top wildcard pick, because Chelsea is missing a left winger. We had Jadon Sancho last year. Sancho, pretty cool, pretty good, holds the ball, keeps possession in forward areas, and allows you to sustain pressure. But aside from that, doesn't get too many goals, and sadly doesn't get as many assists as he used to. It was more like he was there for his ability to dribble and hold possession and keep and sustain Chelsea pressure. But as the season wore on, you saw that you still need your player to take shots. You need him to take shots. Are we really going to just keep trying to find players that are just interesting and potentially could be great? Or do we want someone who we know what he's done before, and do we have a plan to extract what he has done before out of it? So that's my wild card. That's my wild card.
Chelsea, very interesting one. Chamberlain.
Guam's out here searching for his next hazard.
Real.
Okay, are you guys? I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you are.
Drum
One year deal to rebuild and rebrand for the next 5 years with the new Knight. Inter Miami with David Beckham and Messi. 1 year deal. Go down to Inter. Find out how to be the ultimate pro from Lionel Messi, and then come back straight back to the Prem and drop 40 goals. Why not? Get the golden boot.
Whoa. Yeah. Chamberlain's crazy.
Wild card. I had to go wild.
That is insane. That's just insane, actually. Learning how to be a pro from Messi is the craziest thing I've seen. There's literally a video of Kevin Prince Boateng talking about how don't look at Messi.
No, you shouldn't. He's the anomaly. You should never look at
him. He spends most of his time walking. He's not the right comparison.
No, because I was actually about to bring up, but there's certain parts of his game, and then you said it, and I was like, wait, no, there's also those certain parts of his game. No, that is so true. But no, I think the creativity aspect, if you could add anything of that to his game. But also, David Beckham's, I just think it would be funny. But also because I could go see games, and I wouldn't have to pay for like a flight over water. But okay. This is so as I'm seeing a new talk right now. I wanted to say France originally, but I wasn't feeling Ligue 1 as much as I was feeling Serie A. But like it does feel almost just as likely, right, that he could go to France as he could go to Italy, kind of a thing. But no, I mean, overall, it would be nice to have him close so I could actually go see a game. I'd totally buy a Rashford Inter Miami jersey. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, Chamberlain, I honestly just feel like if Marcus goes to Inter Miami right now, his career is over. He would be trolled till the day he dies, basically.
I get what you're saying. I just think that and obviously it's not right now, but I think what the MLS can be is that league that almost takes place like off season in a way that you can go and play there and then come back in time for the second half of a year or whatever it may be in Europe. And obviously they don't use it like that right now. They only use that when they're pulling guys out developmentally, but I think it definitely has the potential to be that. I just think there's a lot of marketing issues that kind of lie around that. But yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying though. Yeah, at 28, it's not the age to go to the MLS, right? But that in my head though, I'm thinking if you want to rebrand, if you want to be able to just go fresh slate, dumb number of points, show everyone you can still put the ball in the back of the net after you had, a struggling year with Villa. But I mean, you'd be way better off doing that at like Milan. So like,
for sure. Honestly, with all due respect to the MLS and everything they've done, I think with the talent that Marcus possesses, I think the MLS would not be a challenge for him. Because you do want players to continue to like scale up and to continue to improve. And then we all love Marcus, and then we just want to see him get better. We already know his strong points, but I mean we also want to see other things from him. I think Rashford has the ability to just possess that X factor for any team. And yeah, but honestly, the MLS would just be a bad idea right now. But honestly, great wildcard shouts from you guys. Guam said Chelsea, Chamberlain said Inter Miami. Now, you guys took me out, honestly, for some of my facial expressions. But for me, I'm going to go with our producer. And I think Monaco would actually be a great place for him to go right now, considering the fact that, Paul Pogba just resigned for them. He's about to have a renaissance. I'm going to be sad for that. Ansu Fati as well is joining them. Rumor has it that Anthony Martial might be going there. That's not confirmed yet. But yeah, it does look like at the moment Marcus Rashford would be perfect for Monaco. Yeah, but that's the episode, guys. It's been a brilliant one. Big shout out to Gwam and Chamberlain for coming on today's episode. Brilliant takes, brilliant ideas. And, hopefully in a couple of weeks or in a couple of days, we could see Marcus Rashford going to one of these clubs that we've spoken about. And hopefully he has a great time at one of those clubs. So thank you for joining us. Like, comment on anything you agree or disagree with. Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified on the next episode, guys, where we'll be discussing the potential rebuild for Crystal Palace if or when Mark Gehi leaves. All right? Stay blessed, guys.